Ready now? Hi guys, and welcome to the Debrief. I'm your host Glass uh, for a while now, and we have Raptor here,
Hi.
and that's kind of the only part of our gang that's here. But I made sure that we didn't start until we had a special guest. The first episode we didn't have a lot of people, uh, a lot of our gang, and I'm sorry to Raptor because he later told me that he wanted to be a part of it. It was during the training and I didn't want to interrupt him. I'm sorry, Raptor. But today we got one of our newly made main Zeuses, Bear. He's our special guest
Hello,
today.
human beings.
Yeah.
Okay, so today, last week I felt like we were rambling a lot. We didn't talk about Arma, and so this week I got an ideas list, and we're gonna take some questions from what Raptor put in there, and we'll ask them and we'll talk about them today. So, first things first, we want I want to know, Bear, because that op everybody ended up giving one of the people gave it a 0 out of 10. Besides that, what would you say went into the planning of that op? What was your ideas going in before anything happened? Before the ground was boots on the ground. What was your idea? What was your planning in constructing that?
My simple idea for the op was basically going to be um, you guys were going to drive to the compound, get have some IEDs, maybe some light contacts, but you'd get there at least within a 30-minute time period. You guys did get there earlier than I expected, so I was like, good. And you guys talked with the senator there and with the base command there. Um, Once that happened, I decided to start off nice and slow, some civilians, stuff like that, and after that, started sending in contacts. It was going good, but it started getting to where Air Force was taking out every contact that Ground Force had, and they had nothing to do. And so it just became, oh, there we go. Just became a sort of Air Force destroyed everything, and the contacts that ground did get to take out were taken out in 5 minutes. Easy. Ground really had nothing to do. And then we got to a point to where everyone was like, yeah, we want an overwhelming force. We want to go up against that. We want to die. That's what I was told by the ground JTAC. And basically, I sent that force and sort of messed up with a BMP. Shot at them, killed them, because they said that they wanted to die, but I took that wrong. The JTAC put it in the wrong wording. So yeah, basically I did that, and I sent artillery. Everybody got blown up into the op. Not a lot of people enjoyed it. I didn't think ahead of how Air Force or how good Air Force was going to be with an H1Z and how to properly have enough forces for the ground and air to be able to take out.
Okay, so that was. I would say on my part, I would say that it was somewhat of a decent art, even though I was a Kozus and everybody was yelling at the end. I think in the end, if we didn't have the artillery, I feel like the whole squad would have been wiped no matter what. Because you guys were they were watching one direction and they had pushed in from the other direction. Does that make sense to you guys? And so they were kind of pincered into that embassy. And so if they already hadn't got him, I feel like the overwhelming force from either side would have got him. So I feel like a little bit we put too many troops down, like even ground troops. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So,
And
and
Raptor,
that
you
was
were on
kind of the
ground.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of the point. And if we had died to the overwhelming numbers, then, well, we would have died to the overwhelming numbers. It would have been a decent end.
Yeah.
It would have felt like an actual end, instead of us dying by a freaking random explosion that took out our building and killed everybody inside.
Yeah.
While the compound was being raided by their troops. So essentially, uh, the reason why everybody got upset at the end was because it ended in BS, in the
Yeah.
sense that they launched artillery on a position where they had friendly troops swarming,
Yeah. Which,
and those took all of us out simultaneously, and just made for a enraging end of the op. If we had died to the troops who were swarming us, then we would have been fine with it, because that's how the overwhelming odds defense op was supposed to end.
yeah, that makes sense.
Just stay in the air
Oh,
we intended it to end.
but stay ahead of
the gas.
The gas yeah.
Also,
keep flying forward.
I didn't bring this up, but as we were going along, I was like, I didn't think ahead. How's this making sense? All these FOBs, they could have picked up the senator and gotten him out of there, and the op would have instantly have been over. And it was just, it got to that point where I was like, I messed up and didn't think ahead, and that's what I'm going to start doing. As I'm making the op board, is think ahead of what might happen.
Yeah.
If I
But
may, say something
yeah,
about the
go.
multiple fobs,
Yeah, go ahead,
the
bro.
way that would have made the op so much more fun if we had the senator. So we had the senator to protect.
Mm-hmm.
It would have made a lot more fun if we had started at a fob really close to the enemy territory. Say the senator was escorted to a safety zone, the fob, because he had gotten attacked at a rally or some sort. I forget the force that we were fighting, but that force
Boko Haram.
attacked Boko Haram attacked the senator at a rally or a speech, and friendly forces took him to a safe location at a fob close to the area. This fob was still really close to enemy territory, and that's where us are deployed to in the beginning. We are the reinforcements for that fob. Later on, and by later on I mean like 20 minutes, we are attacked by the Boko Haram, who are looking for the senator. We successfully repel the first attack, and in doing so, gain a window of opportunity to escort the senator to another fob farther away from the enemy territory, sort of leapfrogging from fob to fob. That way, we're doing different things in the op instead of uh, just defending. It makes the op more interesting, while also it's still pretty simple. And that's pretty much how it would keep going. As we retreat to another fob farther back from the territory, Boko Haram catches up. Uh, we get re-equipped at the fob. We defend that fob, repel the attack, retreat back, defend that, retreat back, defend that, And then we finally get to the final fob, defend that, and then we get evac out by a chopper because we're so far back that the Boko Haram AA can't reach us. And so we get a chopper, they fly us out. End of op. Mission success.
Yeah, that would seem like a good op, and I feel like somewhat would make a fun op if you were to actually make it like 2 weeks from now there and just remake your story and then remake the mission and redo the mission and try and save yourself from what happened last time so you can show how different you were from the last week. But also I feel like somehow whenever a person, this is how I'm going to this is how he had the best op the week before, and then it was just like an average, like below average op the next week. Is that sometimes you get your big head, you get an ego. Now you just did what you've been trying to do, and then you mess up. So sometimes you just gotta come back out of that and just try and rethink and reassess the situation. Why I thought, yeah,
Like, it was a really good setup. I enjoyed the setup. I liked the idea, but there are just things that I wish happened. Um, we never used the vehicles that we got from the start again. My idea for that, my whole explanation that I just did, would have made better use for the vehicles, especially the armored SUV. Uh, that would be the escort vehicle for our senator. We'd have to get him in there, and we would retreat with that. And so it would allow for us to get more use out of the vehicles, especially since we seem to have people who really enjoy using that particular vehicle. So that would have added fun to the op, even though the mission, the objectives would have been pretty repetitive. It still would have been fun. Still would have added suspense. Still would have added some excitement. Because all the while we'd also be avoiding IEDs, roadblocks, repelling the attacks. We might even be chased by the Boko Haram. Just different things that we could have had happened in the op, but just didn't. I feel like if we can revisit this and implement that idea, the op could be just so cool.
And up next, can you guys hear me?
yes, yes, Barry.
Okay. In the next op that I'm gonna be doing, it's gonna be not the exact same premise, but it's going to be sort of what he talked about. Is going to be a patrol in Afghanistan, and I want to try and make it. I'm not gonna, speak up this op, but I'm gonna try and make it as good or a little bit like almost as good as the op that I did on E-test.
As well as we're gonna reprove ourselves as Zeus and Co-Zeus because I came in late, so this time I'm gonna start at the beginning unless something happens and I have to come in late. We're gonna start at the beginning, and me and him are gonna Co-Zeus. We've already had meetings this week already planning on this up. Um, Okay, talking about planning, I'm gonna kind of move this along instead of just talking about one up. How does it come? Because you have been squad lead trained. I've tried planning ops, and Bear's probably planned ops before in different types of ways. But how coming to planning of like missions to move from objective to objective? How does how does that process actually help in the op? Would you say? Like, for example, we have to move to this position, but Cav has to move to this position, yada, yada, yada. How do you make it move fluidly? I would ask you, Rep, since it's easier.
So, an op always works better if you have a plan before you leave the base.
Yeah.
Ideally, what you'd have happen is the Zeus or commander, high command, would take squad lead and each team lead into a separate area away from the force to hash out a plan for everyone before you leave. This plan could be as simple or as complicated as each person thinks. Basically, the Zeus would establish this is what the mission is, this is what you need to do, make a plan, accomplish the mission however you see fit. And so basically, each lead element, your squad leader and your team leads, would just take about 15 minutes, draw out a plan on the map, and try to stick to that plan as much as they can. Of course, no plan is going to be concrete. You can't ever expect to always be able to stick to the plan. Stuff is going to happen. That changes things. But just the simple having that plan makes things move easier because then every member of the team knows what needs to happen. And it helps so much to have paths and objective markers placed on the map so everybody knows where they need to be at all times. Every step of the way should have some sort of marker or path or just notes, just something. The plan established makes things so much better. So basically, the leads will plan that 15 minutes. They'll draw it out on the map. They'll discuss, this is what I think Alpha, Bravo, the cavalry or Air Force can help out with. You'll have your JTAG there too, and each asset element. So cavalry and Air Force will be there too to plan things out. So everybody can input their ideas of how they can help best. Once that's over, you'll go over the plan with main force, and then you leave and try to accomplish the mission. Now, as I said before, plans will not be followed 100% perfectly. There will always be something that throws a wrench in your plan, whether it be an IED or a tank or hostile air, just something that may make you have to change ideas a little. Now, that's why it is extremely important for any leader to be able to think on their feet. And even if you run into a roadblock or just something that makes you have to change your plan a little bit, you don't have to change it too much. Just get out of the obstacle, and then go back on to where you originally were. Planning on your feet is a very good skill to have.
Yeah. Well, I realize that we're reaching the 20-minute timer that I set for us. Do you guys want to continue? Do you want to keep going, or do you want to just go ahead and do what we were planning on doing afterwards. Because I know that we're talking about Zeus's and the plan. The plan definitely works. Like somebody said, whenever you first hit contact, the plan doesn't always work. But whenever you first hit contact, everybody knows at least what they're trying to do. Does that make sense to you guys? They already know if this team goes down, we're still going to be going to clear these houses. If the squad lead goes down, we're still going to be moving to this objective and finding the intel. You get what I'm saying?
Yep, exactly. And that's why the plan is discussed among the team leads, and then everybody gets the brief after that. So let's say what you just said. Basically, you're at Objective Alpha. You need to move through a valley north to get to Objective Bravo.
Yeah.
Squad lead goes down. Alpha team lead is now squad lead.
Yeah.
While the medic tries to revive squad lead. Alpha team lead doesn't have much squad lead experience, but he has team led for a while, and he knows the plan. So you can still put squad lead in a Humvee and move to the objective.
Yeah.
Then squad lead gets revived, and everything and everybody is still set in motion.
Yeah, I've definitely caught myself sometimes, especially in the one World War II op that we did as the Reaper Company, with Lee as the Germans. Was I just held my men back even though we were supposed to be clearing the town. I was more cautious than the other team lead, which just pushed up and we had no comms with. It's World War II. We try and be a little bit realistic about that. But as we're talking about planning, as we're talking about missions, as we're talking about constructing a mission, Bear, I know you've started doing this, and Winters has started doing this. Is where whenever you start constructing a mission, you think about all the trainees that you can get together with a branch commander and explain what you want them to train, and to get people maybe do a mass training, or maybe just tell certain people to learn a skill. So like Cav, maybe it's just CQC in a tank, or ground force. It's like you did enemies on friendly comms, stuff like that, where you could get people ready and excited for the out. What goes into that thinking? What goes into you know finding out the trainings? Is it just stuff that you like to do? What?
With the trainings, it's usually just stuff that I'll include in the op. Maybe, hey, if you haven't, been trained in CQC, or if you haven't been trained in EOD and stuff like that,
Yeah.
that would be the trainers I would put in the op.
Yeah. And Raptor as a branch commander before the merge, how did that help with your troops getting ready for the op? Would you say?
So it helped tremendously. Basically, I've always been really adamant about communication between Zeus's and commanders before op start. Just, we can train broadly in a bunch of different things, but we might never train on a specific thing enough to be really good at it by the time the op starts. Training is good. Training for everything is great. But if you train for everything, like as a broad term, say town clearing or fire team movement, stuff like that, training for that is awesome. You're always going to need to stay on top of that, but there's specific things that we might not do a lot, such as amphibious assaults or paradropping or what's oh yeah, um dropping out of a freaking chopper. Forget what it's
Rappelling?
called. Rappelling, yeah. Just little things like that we don't practice a whole lot. That can make such a difference if we were really, uh, well practiced into it. So if a Zeus has something that they like to do, um, such as rappelling, that we don't practice a lot because we don't really need to practice it a lot. If they make an op that requires rappelling, they go to a commander. They say, hey, I'd really like you guys to be able to rappel in this op. Can you make this happen? And then the commander goes, oh yeah, sure, why not? I'd love to be able to rappel. That week, the commander sets up a training, says, hey guys, this op's coming up. You guys are going to need to rappel. In order for us to not look like complete freaking idiots, we're going to practice rappelling. That's our training this week. And since rappelling is such a quick thing that we can do, we're going to mix it with some fire team movement and some town clearing. That's our training this week. Come at Wednesday at 6 EST. And that's the training. And then
Yeah.
everybody is sharp on rappelling on that up day. And then we have a good op.
Yeah. Oh, well, like I said, I feel like that kind of ties into the planning process. It's just during the week ahead. I feel like I'm kind of mixing and matching two different subjects at this point in time. I get the training part, and I feel like the trainings should happen a little bit more for mass, but I know that people have lives and whatnot, so. But also, the same way that the trainings happen during the week, maybe like planning sessions, since we do get op wars ahead of time and we already know who the squad lead's going to be, who the team leads are going to be, because those are usually the first people that sign up. Maybe they go together and then the Zeus kind of informs them before the op happens. Like maybe maybe 2 to 3 days before the op happens, they create a plan, and then they can get refreshed on the brief while everybody is getting their kits set up and whatnot. And then, boom, you already have a plan set up. Just it's been set up 2 to 3 days beforehand. Does that make sense? And they can
Yeah.
change it during the op because maybe they won't have that many numbers. They can plan for the whole thing and then scale it down like Zeus's do if they lose members. But I feel like today was a good session, podcast. Thank you guys for joining, Raptor uh, and Bear. I'm sorry. Congrats on your newly made main Zeus. Keep it up. Last up was kind of a doozy, but I believe people are kind of expecting it like Raptor. Um, Going a little off topic, if you see our sets, I kind of make it myself beforehand and whatnot. We have our favorite guns on the table. Bears is an MG3. Raptors is an M4 Block 2. And behind that is a Glock 19 with the suppressor on it. Mine is just a regular M4. I know I'm basic. With a carry handle, all that, and then a Beretta M9. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I've been your host Glass. We've had Raptor,
Bye.
and we
Bye.
and we have Bear.
Bye bye.
And I hope you guys enjoyed the shortened session today. And like I say on my channel at least, always laugh and stay happy. Glass out.